Thank you very much, Brother Hamza, for your frank. Thank you, Brother Hamza. Thank you, Brother Hamza, for your frank deliberation and statements. I hope very soon these challenges will be addressed through proper regulations, inshallah, in Saudi. Okay, my next question to Brother Ali. Please, if you can also follow suit, be precise and concise. You have worked in several markets, and of course, all Islamic windows, and you started your career maybe in conventional. So please explain to us the similarities. If you can explain to us the similarities and differences in practices in those markets that you work with.
Okay, Brother Khalid, I'll try to be concise over here. So, one of the things which I have observed is, and I may sound a bit philosophical over here and non-banking language, is what is the niyat or the intention of the Islamic banking team which is operating in that window. And as Brother Hamza was saying, are you looking at it as a profit-making opportunity? Is that the objective of the Islamic banking team in the window? Or is the objective of the Islamic banking team in the window is that I believe in, this is the way for me to earn halal rizq, and I will do whatever I can, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me the capability to ensure that the products which are sold by the bank are halal. And as Brother Khalid was saying, that maybe you will see or Islamize a Standard Chartered Bank, and I said, inshallah, wallahi, this is one of the objectives. That what can we do to ensure that wherever we can, how can we convert the product to Islamic? Because this is what we believe in, that this is halal. My ultimate objective is, and I was talking to one of my colleagues at this conference yesterday, I said, we have many Muslim markets where we do Islamic banking. And if I look at the share of Islamic banking, which we believe is halal risk, what is that share? 20%, 25%, 15%, 30%, 40%? Khalas, that's on the average. Meaning 60, 70% is still something which we believe is riba, which is haram. So, I said, let's think about a supermarket in one of these countries. And I know when I visualize some of the supermarket, a big supermarket, and when I enter that supermarket, everything is halal. Yani I don't have to look at a product and see whether it has pork in it or not. I know it's halal. And at the end of the supermarket, far end, there is a section which says non-halal products. 99% of the supermarket is halal. I said, why can't we have banking like this in our country? Where 99% of the banking is halal. So coming back, that is the intention of the team which is doing Islamic banking. And if you have the right team with that intention, your Sharia governance framework, one doesn't need to worry about that. So coming back to your question, and very, very quickly, some of the things that I've seen, one is building a very positive narrative around Islamic banking when making it part of the national agenda. We've seen Malaysia do it very well, where a few years back they said we want Islamic banking to reach at a certain level by a certain target date, and we saw that today this is, mashallah, about 40% of the Islamic banking, of the banking in the country is Islamic. And what that made happen was that all the windows, RHB Bank, CIMB Bank, May Bank, all the big banks, they made Islamic first as their strategy. Customer comes, Islamic first. This is the strategy. And also the government-linked entities, because it was a national agenda, their preference became Islamic first. Government is doing a project, okay, Islamic first. So building a positive narrative is very helpful. Second, if the entry barriers are big, it is very detrimental. Indonesia, for example, largest Muslim market, the regulation is if you do Islamic window, after a certain time you have to convert it into a subsidiary by law. Many banks don't want to do Islamic because of this cost requirement. Share of Islamic banking, 6%. So again, if the entry barriers are high, it becomes a problem. Third thing, using the leverage model and using the resources of the bank, of the mother bank, and making Islamic banking bigger. And I've given you some examples in one of the market, and you know, it may seem, a few years back, it may seem, can Islamic banking be really bigger than conventional in a window? In Pakistan today, we are a window, we operate as a window. In the retail side, more than 55% of the assets are all Islamic, alhamdulillah. We made it happen, real number. And last but not the least, Sharia governance. Sharia governance cannot be outsourced to the leverage model. Sharia governance, you have to own it. This is your bread and butter. This is your credibility. And this is not just credibility, this is your survival in the bank. Because if, God forbid, there is any lapse in Sharia, the mother bank will not let you survive or be there. Mother bank will say, close this. So we in Islamic banking then have to ensure, with that right intention which I mentioned in the beginning, have to ensure that the Sharia governance framework is fully implemented and there are no lapses to it, because that is the credibility or the respect that we give. Thank you.
Thank you. Interesting thoughts. Brother Abdulaziz Al-Mualla, my question to you was, as a regulator again, under what conditions and cases central banks can comfortably allow Islamic windows to be set up?
Thank you. This is, in a way, a problematic question for a regulator like us in the UAE, and in general for regulators. It's the concept of a window and how to deal with a window is a problematic environment, because you're dealing with two entities in one, and you're looking at two different kind of environments, and basically like looking at from a prudential point of view, the Basel and the IFSB aspects, and the type of debt, the deposits where the conventional deposits are by default inherently guaranteed as their debt, and then the profit sharing deposits. It's a mixed environment that's it's problematic for a regulator to easily deal with and regulate naturally, where it's in a fully conventional or a fully Islamic bank, it's clear how to deal with it. But the value of an Islamic window, there are values to it, and my colleagues have covered a lot of aspects on how the values look benefits the markets into that aspect. For us, in our jurisdictions, the regulation came later. A lot of other jurisdictions like, for example, Oman, Morocco, Indonesia, regulated before the implementation of the market, before the market started, worked with the market when it started. We came after the market has matured, where we have a diversity of banks between large Islamic banks, small Islamic banks, windows larger than banks. We have some windows in our jurisdiction that are larger than actually full-fledged banks. So how do you deal with that kind of an environment? It's a challenge, to be honest, and we've looked at it from a proportionality aspect. So we dealt with the big bank, with big windows, similar to dealing with some of the big banks, and vice versa. So it has its values into that aspect, but of course, in my opinion, the best potential is, as Brother Hamza was talking about, is the potential that this idea of a window will give the potential for the conventional bank to see the value in Islamic banking and to accept that kind of concept, to fully integrate it into the full bank and hopefully convert into a full Islamic bank, growing the market. Before, one thing, for example, we weren't taking into account the size of the window. When we took into account our size of windows, we grew we realized that our market share that we're looking at was bigger than we expected, and we are almost 25% of our market share Islamic is because of the windows into that aspect. So it has that potential to grow the market and develop it, but also poses a challenge to the regulator on how to deal with this concept to that. One aspect is regarding subsidiaries. We looked at it as a separate bank, so that will be looked at as an individual bank, regardless of who owns it into that aspect.
Thank you. Thank you. We come to our end of the session. We can allow only one question. I think, Doctor, if you can. But be precise and concise. We are running out of time, and we will allow maybe one participant to respond to you. Okay. I hope it's not me يعني.
شكرا استاذ خالد. انا يمكن هو تعقيب بسيط بس، لان احنا بنتكلم على تطبيقات عمليه في كثير من البنوك في السعوديه وفي الامارات وغيرها، لكن هقول بس من واقع العملي ان الحكام الشرعيه اللي تمت للفروع او النوافذ الاسلاميه كانت اكثر دقه واكثر صرامه من البنوك المركزيه على هذه الفروع اكثر منها في البنوك التقليديه. اللي يمكن اخونا حمزه عارف هذا الكلام جيدا من اللي نشره في البنك المركزي السعودي وايضا في البنك الامارات، يعني حتى فروع بنك مصر اللي في الامارات كانوا بيطلبوا مننا احنا في مصر ايه هي الضوابط الشرعيه لهذه النوافذ. ثاني حاجه بالنسبه للشروط اللي اتحطت، هي على مستوى الثلاث بنوك او الثلاث دول دي كمثال، يعني لازم يكون عنده مركز مالي مستقل، وليست الاموال تتجه من البنوك الاسلاميه للتقليديه. هذا انا ما شفتوش حاجه، يعني لم ارى فعلا ان البنك التقليدي بيحتاج اموال التقليديه. انا اعلم واستاذ حمزه عارف هذا الكلام جيدا من رؤساء بنك الاهلي وبنك مصر وكذا بنك، كان بيتاكد فعليا من والمركز المالي بيراجعوا دوريا عشان يتاكد فعلا ان هذه الاموال استخدمت في النواحي الشرعيه، بيطلب تقارير رقابيه بهذا الامر، حتى البنك المركزي هذا الامر. النقطه الثانيه ان الهيئات الشرعيه حمزه مثلا اللي كانت بتؤكد على ضروره ان يتم التدريب بالكامل لكل الفرع قبل تحوله قبل فتح الفرع، ودي نقطه كانت مهمه جدا ودي اتعملت وكان ليها تجربه كبيره جدا. اعتقد استاذ حمزه المفروض يطلع التجربه ديت في صوره كتاب لانها تجربه سريه جدا في هذا الامر. استثمار الاموال برضو النهارده لما كان البنك زي ما قال لك هنا الدكتور اكرم ان لما يكون في هيئه شرعيه على الاقل ثلاث حاجات، كان الهيئه الشرعيه بتقول لك الفلوس اللي احنا خدناها من البنك الام هي قرض حسن، فهنا في معامله ماليه معالجه محاسبيه طبعا لمعايير وفي هذا الامر. المنتجات ليست قليله في النوافذ، المنتجات في احد البنوك او يعني في بنك من البنوك عنده 43 منتج في النافذه اللي عنده، مش منتج او اثنين، لا ده هناك احتياجات كتير جدا وما زلنا في دور هذا الامر. النقطه الاساسيه هي عمليه ان احنا عندنا احتياج كبير جدا للنوافذ ديت ان يكون فيها تدريب كبير جدا للعاملين والقائمين عليها، يعني في تجارب كتير جدا في هذا الامر محتاجين فعلا للعاملين اللي هم عندهم القدره. ان هنا كان اهم نقطه قالها رؤساء مجالس البنوك والبنك المركزي هي عباره واحده، المصداقيه في تطبيق هذا النمط. دي نقطه معلش في الناحيه العمليه، وشكرا يا استاذ خالد على هذا
الامر. شكرا. I think يعني I hope يعني that this session has enlightened you with so many issues, challenges, concerns, and what have you. I think يعني my panelists really deserve a really high applaud from your side for their frankness and their dedication.
Hey. if you don't charge. If you don't charge.
Thank you very much. I'm sure all of you would agree with His Excellency, the Chairman of the session. It was definitely an enlightening session where we explored and discussed a number of issues related to Islamic windows on the governance side in particular. And I'm sure the discussions will continue. We see a lot of interest in terms of asking questions, but time is not on our side. And I hope that that discussion can continue over lunch, inshallah. So I would like to thank all the panelists here, in particular the chairperson, Sheikh Khalid. Thank you very much for your time. I know you had a busy schedule, but thank you for spending your time to be with us. Sheikh Khalid Hamad Al-Hamad, Executive Director, Banking Supervision, CBB. Our fellow panelists, Professor Dr. Akram Laldeen, Mr. Hamad Hassan, Mr. Hamza Bawazir, Mr. Ali Alawala, and Mr. Abdulaziz Al-Mu'alla. Thank you very much for being with us. Jazakumullah khair. Brothers and sisters, excellencies, between yourself and the lunch, we have an important session, and that is the launch of one of the most important report within the global Islamic banking and finance industry issued. The report is called Islamic Finance Development Indicator Report, that is being issued by Refinitiv or LSEG, London Stock Exchange Group, for a number of years now. To present some insights from the report, we have with us Brother Reza Al-Ansari, Head of Research at Refinitiv. He will share some insights from the report, and after the presentation of the report, we'll break for lunch, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, I would like to thank AAOIFI for giving us this opportunity to launch our 10th IFDI report here today. And I would also like to thank our long-standing partners, ICD, for being with us since day one. And I would like to thank them for their continued support. So ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate our 10th year anniversary, we have enhanced our IFDI model, and we have done 3 major changes to our model. First and foremost, we have incorporated fintech and sustainability into the mix, as we know their importance. Second, we have rearranged some of the matrices to come up with new indicators. And finally, we have changed the weightage of some of the pillars. So now financial performance constituted of 40%, used to be 20%. Governance, which is equally important, now has a weightage of 25% from 20%. And the remaining 35% has been equally distributed on sustainability, knowledge, and awareness. So ladies and gentlemen, our 2022 rankings, we have Malaysia that still performs quite well and ranks first, and that they have been maintaining this ranking since our first edition of the report. And second place is Saudi Arabia now, which has performed quite well on different indicators, including awareness, sustainability, and financials, followed by Indonesia, which has performed exceptionally well when it comes to knowledge. Bahrain and Kuwait have both performed quite well in awareness and governance. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll start with financial performance. So Islamic finance today stands at $4 trillion, which shows again the resilience of the industry when it comes to shocks and crises. The market has grown 17% in 2021, and we expect it to grow to 5.9 trillion in 5 years from now. In terms of asset classes, we can see that Islamic banking holds 70% of the market, followed by Sukuk 18%, and followed by Islamic funds, OFIs, and Takaful. Islamic banking, which is the largest asset class, we have been seeing exciting trends there. One of the trends we have seen that a lot of banks are returning to profitability. The second trend is the expansion of Islamic banking in non-traditional markets. We have seen countries such as Tajikistan growing by 84%. We have seen Burkina Faso growing by 27%, Ethiopia by 26%. So as you can see, we expect the market to continue growing to reach over $4 trillion by 2026. Sukuk, which is an asset class that has been growing consistently in the past 5 years. Sukuk has performed both in traditional markets and non-traditional markets. In traditional markets, we see that Malaysia continues to be the leading market when it comes to Sukuk. We're seeing a lot of Sukuk issuances also out of Saudi Arabia. They have been quite active since 2017. And of course, we have Indonesia as well, that has been a country that has been issuing regular retail and green Sukuk in the past few years. Islamic funds, obviously, as investments, appetite grow across different jurisdictions, and especially when it comes to green investments, ESG investments, we're seeing a lot of funds being launched dedicated to green and ESG investments. We expect the market to continue growing. It had a substantial growth in 2021, growing by 34%, and we expect it to continue its substantial growth to reach $416 billion. As for markets, Iran, Saudi, and Malaysia, they continue to be leading the investments. Other Islamic financial institutions, obviously, as the name indicates, these are companies that provide financing beyond Islamic banks, and we have included Islamic fintech into the mix now. The market has, in terms of assets, about $170 billion, and it's expected to grow to $214 billion. Again, Malaysia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia are leading markets for OFIs. The smallest asset class, Takaful, currently stands at $73 billion. It has grown by 17% in line with the overall Islamic finance, and we expect the market to continue growing to reach $106 billion. Again, the same leading markets, Iran, Malaysia, and Saudi Arabia, are dominating the Takaful sector. So ladies and gentlemen, we have finalized the financial performance side. We will move now to the ecosystem, and we start with governance. Governance obviously covers regulation, covers Sharia scholars, covers disclosures, and the independent board of directors. And in terms of countries that are adopting Islamic finance regulation, we can see that a lot of countries are focusing on fintech, Islamic banking, Sharia governance, specific accounting and auditing, and takaful, as well as sukuk. So we see a lot of adoption in different jurisdictions in both traditional and non-traditional markets. Knowledge, which is the backbone of Islamic finance when it comes to talent and research. We see that we of course, it's covered by education providers and degree providers in addition to paper produce and journals. And as you can see, and as I mentioned, Indonesia leads substantially, and we cannot expect anything less from Indonesia being one of, or the largest Muslim population country. Awareness, which is measured through seminars, events, virtual events, as well as news. Obviously, the pandemic has pushed a lot of jurisdictions to move to virtual events. As you can see, over 800 events were held virtually, followed by seminars as well as conferences. The leading markets are Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Pakistan, Indonesia, and UAE for seminars. Same countries are appearing for Islamic finance conferences in addition to Turkey and UAE. Sustainability, which is one of the enhanced indicators, and we measure sustainability through ESG funds, ESG sukuk, sustainability guidelines, reporting for both ESG and CSR, as well as CSR dispersed. And we can see clearly that ESG sukuk are continue to grow. Currently, Saudi Arabia, and as I mentioned, Indonesia, they're leading the market. Malaysia, which is also quite active on the corporate side, we see a lot of smaller corporate issuances in Malaysia. And to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a lot of data, as you can see. And for you to be able to access the raw data, we're providing all the raw data in our main platform, Icon, and all the raw data are there for download. So ladies and gentlemen, to download the report, please visit our Refinitiv website as well as our Zawi website, or please pass by our stand for your free copy. And I would like to thank you now, and I would like to invite our partner, ICD, to give a few words. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just I would like to say a few words regarding this report issued by Refinitiv, and the ICD was very well involved in the financing and the support for this report issuance. And therefore I would like to say this report is another way of showing how Islamic finance is growing, and where we are last time and where we are now, and what is the area that need to be emphasized, and we have to look forward in order to galvanize the industry and put it in the right place. And as you have seen from the report, there are so many areas that still need to be taken into consideration, and the growth should be worked out in order to put the Islamic finance industry in the right way. And ICD, as one of the main financier and supportive of the financial sector in Islamic finance industry, especially the private sector, is very happy to work with everyone in the work of Islamic finance, whether it is government, what they call grant support, or financing, or anything that will help in the growth of the industry in the future. And I would like finally to thank you all for that one, and thank one again Refinitiv for their hard work. And the ICD is happy to work in that direction with them in the future in order to make the resilience of the Islamic finance industry one of the best and one of the one to follow by all industry. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. Again, and the second report that was launched at the annual Islamic Banking and Finance Conference here. The report is available outside on the stand, and also it is available to download as an electronic copy. So with that, we thank you very much, Refinitiv, for launching it at the AAOIFI-IsDB Islamic Banking and Finance Conference. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we do break for lunch. And the lunch is being served again in the same hall, on the left-hand side of this hall, like yesterday. And we do expect to come back, if we can request everyone to be back in the room by 10 to 3, please. So we can start our last session, which is focused on fintech and its role within the Islamic banking and finance industry. So can I request everyone to be back by 10 to 3, please? Thank you very much.
Check. Check, check.